This is the first time we've ever recorded during the day. It's not so bad.
No. I mean, in the basement, it still feels like night.
Yeah, it's always the same level of light down here.
This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Your hosts are Seth Jacobson and Patrick Heiler.
Chapter 56, People of the Dragon, and our symbol is the snake in the wheel.
And we know the people of the dragon are the Aiel.
And that's like, we find out who the people of the dragon are in this.
Totally.
Yeah.
A major plot point. I mean, I don't know if it's a major plot point, but I do think that it drives Book 4.
Yes.
Because the fact that the Aiel are the people of the dragon is what sends Rand off to the waste to become a clan chief.
And then Couladin and all that.
All that, yeah. The beginning of the
Dragon Sworn, not the Dragon Sworn, but the Algai de Siswa.
The spears of the dragon.
That's it. Throughout the city of Tyr, people woke with the dawn, speaking of the dreams they had, dreams of the dragon, battling Baalzamon in the heart of the stone. And when their eyes rose to the great fortress of the stone, they beheld a banner, waving from its greatest height. Across a field of white flowed a sinuous form, like a great serpent, scaled in scarlet and gold, but with a golden lion's mane and 4 legs, each tipped with 5 golden claws. Men came, stunned and frightened, from the stone to speak in hushed tones of what had happened in the night, and men and women thronged the streets, weeping as they shouted the fulfillment of prophecy. "The dragon," they shouted. "Althor, the dragon! Althor!"
So that banner is the one they found at the Eye of the World that Moraine carried the whole way.
Yeah, it's the banner.
The banner. The one put there by the Aes Sedai who stored Kalendor and created the Eye of the World. Yeah.
This is kind of weirdly dark when you think of the people crying and shouting.
I mean, that's the whole point of the prophecy of the dragon. Weep for your salvation. I mean, it's...
Destroy the world to save the world.
Exactly. The prophecies say bad stuff's going to happen.
It just, brought an extra level of darkness. Because, yes, crying can be yelling or, yelling, shouting, or weeping. But this says weeping.
Kalendor being seized is this... this city does not like channelers.
This is like Jesus coming back.
Exactly.
These people are freaking out. Yeah, it means the end of the world's coming. The dead are going to come to life and stuff. There won't be any food to eat.
Leah asks if the Aiel know the prophecy or just the clan chiefs and wise ones. I think it's just the clan chiefs and the wise ones because they learn the prophecy when they go through the Terangrial. It's not something that they talk about. It's something that they learn from the testing.
I think everyone under that level kind of has a sort of understanding of a little bit. They know a little bit about what's going to happen at the end of the world, but they don't know things like Ruark knows.
They know what the wise ones tell them.
Yeah. Is it which one of the Aiel men again is it that speaks in this chapter that explains to Moraine that the Aiel are the people of the dragon?
Ruark.
But yeah, he explains that it's something that only the clan chiefs and wise ones know.
Totally.
This other name for their people.
And we do see that, when Rand goes through, he's shown where they get their name, the people of the dragon.
Yeah.
And how that comes about. Because the Aiel were servants to all Aes Sedai, but after the breaking, that was sort of forgotten, and they were associated just with the dragon. It's a bit of legend fading to myth type thing.
Yeah.
But the people of the dragon is the remnants of the Aiel being servants of the Aes Sedai. The Aiel are servants of Aes Sedai, but Aes Sedai means servants of all. It's sort of an odd little twist there. Where you're a servant of a servant.
Like assistants or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Peering through an arrow slit, high on the side of the stone, Matt shook his head as he listened to the chorus rising out of the city in waves. Well, maybe he is.
I guess. Yeah.
Really, Matt?
Yeah.
Still.
No, I guess, I can't believe it, but, he's got the sword. Everyone is proclaiming him. He stabbed the Forsaken through the chest. He's a channeler. Yeah.
It's happening.
Matt doesn't like to admit things that he doesn't like.
He rarely does.
Yeah.
I think it takes him to like all the way to the end of the series to be like, well, I guess you're the Dragon Reborn.
I mean, the great scene between the two of them is the one-upsmanship.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well, I rescued Moraine. I cleansed the one power.
Matt's like, nah, I've never needed it.
I'm good. I'm free of Aes Sedai. I've got a medallion.
Next thing I have is, this is still in Matt's perspective here. He had seen Rand just once the night before. So, and this is kind of going along, Matt is having trouble believing that Rand is even in Tyr, because he's, up until now, their plots have been so far apart.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he saw them occasionally, but he didn't expect Rand to be there at all.
No, he went for a totally different reason, and then all of a sudden Rand's there winning this battle and proclaiming himself the Dragon Reborn.
Totally.
Or, well, I mean, he already did that, but, still proclaiming himself the Dragon Reborn the second time.
Because the last time Matt actually saw Rand was in Falma with the dagger.
Yeah.
And then he was taken to the White Tower, and then he went to Camelin, and now he's here.
Yeah.
Matt hadn't been healed from the dagger the last time he saw Rand, so his memories are still even just a little fuzzy as to exactly what happened. So the idea of Rand like popping up in the middle of this random city and becoming the Dragon Reborn, he's like, what,
bizarre.
How did that happen? And now he's seeing him with like an entourage.
Yeah.
He's like, dude,
what are you doing?
What's going on? Why do these people care about you?
Stop leading them on, Rand. I know you're just a shepherd. He had seen Rand just once the night before, striding along a hall with Kalendor in his hand, surrounded by a dozen veiled Aiel, and trailing a cloud of Terrans, a knot of defenders of the stone, and most of the few surviving High Lords. The High Lords, at least, seemed to think Rand would need them to help him rule the world. The Aiel kept everyone back with sharp looks, though, and spears if need be. They surely believed Rand was the dragon, though they called him He Who Comes with the Dawn. There were nearly 200 Aiel in the stone. They had lost a third of their numbers in the fight, but they had killed or captured 10 times as many defenders.
I notice here he says few surviving High Lords. I didn't realize a lot of the High Lords had been killed.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, didn't Matt beat a couple of them up? Matt and Sandar beat a couple up.
Sure.
So even the High Lords were running around the stone in their underwear trying to figure out what the hell was going on last night.
Totally.
I guess a couple of them wound up dead. That's not terribly surprising.
Oh, and I think I have to correct myself. Speaking of High Lords, I talked about the scene where Rand fights the High Lords when they're in rebellion. He goes and that's when Mashadar shows up, when Padden Fane gives him his second wound.
Yeah, that's late. That's way later.
I made a mistake. I was saying he fought, I believe, Darlin, and he actually fought somebody else. And then, of course, the other thing I wanted to say is He Who Comes with the Dawn is the name they have, even though he isn't technically that person yet, right? He hasn't come from Meridian at dawn.
Right. He who will come with the dawn.
But so the Aiel clearly have been told that much. They may not know exactly the details of the prophecy, but they do know that he who comes with dawn is a thing.
So far, Rand fits all the things in Aiel prophecy. I don't know that the Aiel prophecy includes anything about Kalendor, but it must include something about the stone.
It does. Well, and I wouldn't even call it a prophecy. It's the dreamers having dreams.
Well, prophetic dreams.
Yeah. Prophetic dreams, sure. But it's not foretelling prophecy.
Yeah.
So there's no phrase or word. It's just, hey, you got to go to the stone, and you're looking for he who comes with dawn.
Who's like blood of our blood, but raised by the old blood, not our own. And it just makes perfect sense. He's clearly Aiel. Look at him. But doesn't know anything about the Aiel.
Raised by the old blood.
I can't wait to break into TSR now.
Yeah, we keep looking over at the book.
I'm just glancing at it. It's right next. It's been next to me for months. So down here.
And this is definitely a transition into that book, because this is just, talking about the people of the dragon, and the whole next book is all about the Aiel. There
were a lot of jokes about getting wasted and baked last night. Going into the waste and the sun, it bakes you. Matt's looking around the room. He turns from the arrow slit, looks at Ruark. He seems surprised by a bunch of Aiel sitting around reading the High Lord's fancy books.
Yeah, the idea that Aiel are savages and can't read. But the fact is, books are the fastest selling thing in the waste.
Yeah.
It seems like they can't really manufacture their own books, but they buy them and read them at a prodigious rate. The Aiel are an educated people.
Yeah. Ruark glanced in his direction, all cold blue eyes and level stare.
I love he's like flirting with Avienda and then Bane and Chiad, and he's like, I can't get them alone. I can't figure out what's going on.
Burn me. That Avienda nearly took off my head when I asked her if she could do any dances without spears.
I love that he just cannot figure out that Bane and Chiad are an item, and that like just trying to flirt with just one of them, not gonna work. Besides, they're waiting for Gaul to show up and be awesome.
True. The great table in the middle of the room, ornately carved and gilded on edges and thick legs, had been meant for gatherings of high lords. Moraine sat in one of the throne-like chairs, with the crescent banner of Tyr worked into its towering back in gilt and polished carnelian and pearl shell. Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine sat close by her. Nynaeve is surprised Perrin's in Tyr and asks if he's all right. Moraine responds, he was well when I left him. Whether he still is, I do not know. His companion is in some considerable danger, and he may have put himself into it also.
Companion?
Well, what do you call her at this point?
I guess they don't really use the term like girlfriend in the series. That's not like a thing.
It's not really a thing.
Nobody dates in this series. They just get married.
Yeah, it's either completely casual or you're like promised. Mm-hmm. You're like engaged.
Or you're Berelain and you'll use it for anything. For power, really.
Or fun.
Fun. Yeah, totally. They're not so hung up on propriety in Mayene as they are in the Two Rivers.
Yeah, well, the Protestant Revolution never happened here.
But it happened in Manetheren?
I don't know. Edmund's fielders seem a little more concerned with it, but definitely in the South and even in other places, people seem much less concerned. In cities...
Every city seems to have its own little quirks. Like there's the one city, I believe in Kyrian, it's super conservative, except on festival days when everyone gets to
when everybody
run
just
around
gets
naked.
wasted and naked.
Gotta love Harold Fell's reaction when he's like dancing with, I think Rand's trying to talk to him or Perrin's trying to talk to him. And he's like dancing with 3 women. He's like, I'll come back later.
His companion? Egwene said sharply. Who is Perrin's companion? What sort of danger? Nynaeve demanded. Nothing that need concern you, the Aes Sedai said calmly. I will go and see to her as I may, shortly. I have delayed only to show you this, which I found among the ter'angreal and other things of the power High Lords collected over the years. She took something from her pouch and laid it on the table before her. It was a disk the size of a man's hand, seemingly made of 2 teardrops fit together, one black as pitch, the other white as snow. Matt seemed to remember seeing others like it. She found a seal in the stone.
And she needs to go heal Perrin.
Yeah.
We never really see that. I mean, but...
No, but he's fine, like, soon, so we have to assume someone does it.
And since she's going to go check on him, I would assume she heals him. But he's cut up bad and bleeding. I wonder how long do you think it took him to free Fael? Do we think it was all night? Do we think it was just during the battle? That's, there's no real way to coordinate.
I think it took from before the battle began till and ended at approximately the same time, because the events are pretty much synced up during the battle. Rand hears the gong.
Right. Well, and Moraine is there when he, right before he goes to rescue her, and then she leaves to go to the battle. Then, and then she shows up.
So she walks down a hallway essentially. And the thing is huge. Sure, it might be minutes, but this is all happening almost at the same time.
I mean, she's in an inn out in the city, so she has to get to the stone.
The
stone. So I would assume it was like an hour or two of travel, or maybe less than that, but like an hour of travel to get into the stone and
fair enough,
find Bilal, and then maybe another. I would assume like an hour or two from when she leaves till the end of the battle. I kind of he's in there long enough that he starts to he's there strongly enough that it starts to be a problem for him.
Hopper's yelling at him the whole time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wonder if it takes most of the night, actually.
Well, yeah, I would say approximately as long as the battle, maybe a little longer.
Sure. And then, of course, we have the first unbroken seal.
Yeah, this one's unbroken.
It doesn't stay that way, though.
No.
This seal does end up broken, but this is the last one that breaks before the last battle, because we've seen 2 already that are broken.
Mm-hmm.
This one ends up breaking. And then so that's 3 out of the 7 are broken, and then there are 4 left unbroken at the last battle.
That sounds right.
Which also kind of tells you about the compressed timeline, right? Like almost, we've had 3 seals break over the last year.
The last 10 books are a really comparatively short period of time to the first 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I would say it's about the same time period as the first 3
Yeah.
in the last 10. Last 11, really.
Good question, Fal. Where are the last 4 seals? I'm sure we could track them all down if we did a little research right now. Pretty sure they pick up 1 or 2 in Ruidian.
One's in Tenchico.
That's right.
Bail Domon has one. And then he gets another one from the Shanshan as well.
Leia says Domon has 2.
Yeah, because he got the one in the Borderlands. And then
one that was brought from Shanshan.
Yeah, and then one from Shanshan that he got from the Turok. So I think there's the Turok, the Borderlander one, the Tenchico one, and the one in Ruidian. Those are the 4.
Sounds right. Egwene shook her head. I suppose I should have expected to find that here. Twice before Rand faced Baalzamon, and both times at least one of the seals was present. And this time unbroken, Nynaeve said. For the first time, the seal is unbroken, as if that mattered now.
Assuming that Ishmael's the Dark One. I mean, I think that's why Egwene is saying, as it doesn't matter because the Dark One's dead.
You think it does not? Moraine's voice was dangerous in its quiet, and the other women frowned at her. Matt rolled his eyes. They kept talking about unimportant things. He did not much like standing not 20 feet from that disc, now that he knew what it was, no matter the value of TDR. Your pardon? He said. They all turned to stare at him. And Matt kind of goes on a tirade. He's like, isn't it? This is it, right? Did we do it? The only thing that I haven't seen yet is this People of the Dragon thing.
We won, right?
It appears to be that we won, which is okay. Yeah, that's a fair assessment of the situation.
If you want to read the first trilogy, you can just say, oh, that was the Dark One. It's over. You can definitely call this trilogy a complete story in a lot of ways. And I feel like it's only here at the end where Moraine's like, no, there's so much more going on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the start of the whole expansive world that happens here.
The Stone of Tyr has fallen. The prophecy said that would never happen till the People of the Dragon came. Does that mean we are the People of the Dragon? You, me, Lan, and a few hundred bloody Aiel? Perhaps, Moraine said slowly. I came to stop Bilal from killing Rand. I did not expect to see the Stone of Tyr fall. Perhaps we are. Prophecies are fulfilled as they are meant to be, not as we think they should be. And then Ruark interjects.
Mm-hmm.
Ruark cleared his throat. When a man wishes to become a clan chief, he must go to Ruidian, in the lands of the Genaiel, the clan that is not. He spoke slowly, and frowned often at the red fringed silk carpet under his soft boots. A man trying to explain what he did not want to explain at all. Women who wish to become wise ones also make this journey, but their marking, if they are marked, is kept secret among themselves. The men who are chosen at Ruidian, those who survive, return marked on the left arm. So, he pushed back the sleeve of his coat and shirt together to reveal his left forearm, the skin much paler than that of his hands and face. Etched into the skin as if part of it, wrapped twice around, marched the same gold and scarlet form as rippled on the banner above the stone. The Aiel let his sleeve fall with a sigh. It is not a name spoken except among the clan chiefs and wise ones. We are, he cleared his throat again, unable to say it here. The Aiel are the People of the Dragon, Moraine spoke quietly, but she sounded as close to startlement as Matt could remember ever hearing her. That I did not know.
And yet it explains so much. I do think that most people would know that 2 dragons means you're the chief of chiefs. And I feel like that's something that all Aiel know. That's like not a secret.
Well, the wise ones and clan chiefs certainly do.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have our kind of like breakdown scene, like a big event happens and then a bunch of people sit down in a room and Moraine explains some shit. Just in case you're not exactly sure what's going on. And because Matt's like, oh, good then. People of the Dragon came, Stone of Tyr fell, prophecies fulfilled. Now we can all go home. Great. And everybody's like, Matt, you dumbass.
And she attends dead. Everything shakes. Idiot, don't say his name.
There's the Black Aja, the Forsaken, and do you really think that if you killed the Dark One, the body of a man would fall down? Moraine says.
I like this. Moraine's stare was so hard, he thought the stone shook for a moment. And that, it did shake. It is like, I feel like when you name the Dark One, we always have this like, when the attention turns on you, the whole world shakes a little bit. Like, it's not a good thing. But only Matt is the one who can feel that shaking.
Perhaps.
And he attributes it to Moraine's stare.
And then there's just a conversation here where Moraine's explaining that. You saw the body. It clearly wasn't like a ethereal spirit of darkness. It was the body of a man.
Mm-hmm.
And the person you recognize was a man who called himself Baalzamon. That doesn't mean he's the Dark One himself.
Right. And he was in Matt's dreams. You know, they've always thought that Baalzamon was the Dark One in their dreams.
I mean, I did too when I first read through.
Sure, that is what you think is going on.
Yeah,
because you're an ignorant farm boy.
And then Egwene remembers this curious document that Varen showed her a long time ago.
How providential.
Well, they're talking about who was the body then. Who was this man?
And the girls are like, Rand says it's the Dark One. He's sure it is. And Rand's like, yeah, he's a moron.
Rand's a dummy.
Yeah.
So Varen showed me a page from an old book that mentioned Baalzamon and Ishmael together. It was almost high chant and very nearly incomprehensible, but I remember something about a name hidden behind a name. Maybe Baalzamon was Ishmael. Perhaps, Moraine said. Perhaps it was. And then she goes on to say that if that's the case, then there are still 9 of 13 Forsaken still alive.
And guess what? Some of those are coming back.
Yeah.
So who are the 4 that are dead?
Okay. The first 2 in the first book. Agenor, Balthamel. Balal, Ishmael.
3 of those are coming back.
Yeah.
And they're not very good at staying dead. So really, Balal is the first Forsaken they've actually managed to take out for good.
Right.
Really the only one at this point. The rest of them are just, rinse, reuse, recycle. And you can just see the Dark One being like, I just resurrected this one. God. And in comes a compelled Berlain.
One of the tall, paired doors pushed open while he was trying to think of something to say, and a tall young woman of regal bearing entered the room, wearing a coronet with a golden hawk in flight above her brows. Her black hair swept to pale shoulders, and her dress of the finest red silk left those shoulders bare, along with a considerable expanse of what Matt noted as an admirable bosom. For a moment, she studied Ruark interestedly, with large, dark eyes. Then she turned them on the women at the table, coolly imperious. Matt she appeared to ignore completely. I am not used to being given messages to carry, she announced, flourishing a folded parchment in one slim hand. And who are you, child? Moraine asked.
Oh.
The young woman drew herself up even more, which Matt would have thought was impossible. I am Berlain, first of Mayene. She tossed the parchment down on the table in front of Moraine with a haughty gesture, and turned back to the door. A moment, child, Moraine said, unfolding the parchment. Who gave this to you? And why did you bring it, if you are so unused to carrying messages? I do not know. Berlain stood facing the door. She sounded puzzled. She was impressive.
Or she compelled you to think that. Or she has a Terran Grial on her belt that makes you think that.
She gave herself a shake and seemed to recover her opinion of herself. For a moment, she studied Ruark with a small smile. You are the leader of these Aielmen? Your fighting disturbed my sleep. Perhaps I will ask you to dine with me, one day, quite soon. She looked over her shoulder at Moraine. I am told the Dragon Reborn has taken the stone. Inform the Lord Dragon that the first of Mayene will dine with him tonight. As she marched out of the room, Matt could think of no other way to describe that stately, one-woman procession. I would like to have her in the tower as a novice, Egwene and Elaine said it almost like echoes, then shared a tight smile. Listen to this, Moraine said. Luce Theron was mine, he is mine, and he will be mine, forever. I give him into your charge, to keep for me until I come. It is signed, Lanfear. The Aes Sedai turned that cool gaze on Matt. And you thought it was done? You are Ta'veren, Matt. A thread more crucial to the pattern than most, and the sounder of the horn of Valir. Nothing is done for you yet.
It's like a threat from Moraine.
Verbal smackdown.
There's a couple of things I want to talk about with her coming in. I mean, first of all,
Sure.
the fact that she is compelled. I mean, obviously this is a letter from Lanfear, right? Luce Theron is mine.
I mean,
was
she
mine.
signed it.
She signed it, yeah. Just makes it so obvious that Berlane, who does not know why she's carried this letter, is compelled.
Yeah.
It's like, it's only a few little sentences. It's an easy thing to miss, but if you think about it, like, she has to be compelled.
Oh, I thought that was just overwhelmingly obvious. I didn't even...
It's not something I've caught on like my first few rereads. Like,
Yeah.
I missed that, I was like, oh, someone just handed her a letter. I didn't realize that there was, like, compulsion involved.
Yeah, I need to have to know how compulsion worked and stuff.
And then I just love her interaction with Ruark, who, like, schools her so badly. She, like, tries to use her, like, flirting, like, you disturb my sleep. Maybe I'll dine with you. You can really disturb my sleep. But nope. He tells her...
Like, go to bed, little girl.
Yeah, basically. And he becomes
Yeah.
a father figure to her. So I like their relationship. It's one of those... It's a really good relationship that kind of happens in the background if you read a lot into it. And it just makes me happy.
Sideline relationship.
Totally.
You are Taverin, Matt, a thread more crucial to the pattern than most, and the sounder of the horn of Valir. Nothing is done for you yet. They were all looking at him. Nynaeve sadly, Egwene as though she had never seen him before, Elaine as if she expected him to change into someone else. Ruark had a certain respect in his eyes, though Matt would just as soon have done without it, all things considered. Well, of course, he told them. Burn me. I understand. I wonder how soon Tom will be fit to travel. It's time to run. Maybe Perrin will come with us. You can count on me.
You can count on me. Oh, where's he going?
From outside, the cry still rose, unceasing. The dragon, Althor, the dragon, Althor, chanting.
Yeah, just a big crowd. Such a cool... I mean, this is the beginning of the true story. I'm so excited about this. I can't wait. Oh, man, the Shadow Rising is going to be so good.
And it was written that no hand but his should wield the sword held in the stone, but he did draw it out, like fire in his hand, and his glory did burn the world. Thus did it begin. Thus do we sing his rebirth. Thus do we sing the beginning. From Doin Taldara Te, Songs of the Last Age.
Nice.
Quarto 9, The Legend of the Dragon, composed by Boann, song mistress of the Taralan, the Fourth Age. The end of the third book of the Wheel of Time. Bam, that's it. Glossary.
But yeah, I think that prophecy really tells us this is the beginning. This is the true... It took 3 books to set up the story we're about to get into. Boann, song mistress of the Fourth Age. Again, do we think that's...
The age after this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was an earlier age.
Well, it is.
Damn it.
But for real, though, I mean, it's possible that RJ's doing that, but I think that it's whatever comes next, like after these characters are all dead, or maybe when they're old or something.
Well, it's sort of weird that, like, we get snippets from the Fourth Age that tell us, like, he's going to win. Because, like, if he lost, there would be no Fourth Age.
Yeah. Is there anything we want to say or address or anything?
2 things. You guys have been amazing. We've gotten a ton of downloads this month. It's been fantastic to see all the new people. And I just want to shout out to John for doing the editing and being amazing. We spent a lot of time in the last episode thanking all our patrons, but the amount of time and work John has put into this podcast is so far above and beyond what I'd expect from anyone volunteering that I have to call him out and be like, John, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
You're amazing, John. I feel like for non-Discord people who aren't hanging out and getting our updates like all the time, we crossed a kind of critical threshold of podcasting insofar as the amount of downloads we got per month. And that happened for the first time this month. We were kind of like really close for the last couple of months. And Now we're finally over the bar, and if you listen to a bunch of podcasts and like a new one's coming out and it's good, but they don't have any advertisers yet, and they're like, if you want to help us out, you should do this thing, fill out the survey, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be us in like a little while.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out all the details, and we'll be doing that to see what our options are.
But I will, in the relatively new future, send out a survey and ask hopefully about 250 people to fill it out would be the goal.
I don't think we should have any problem doing that, probably. So we have almost 200 patrons, and not that all of them will do it, but I just think that a lot of random people would do it. And I feel like I could just like ask a lot of people.
That's true.
Via Instagram. Like, hey, would you
do
do this even though you don't listen to my podcast? You know.
I could ask my coworkers to go fill it out.
Yeah.
Hey guys, go
maybe
fill
cut that. But I'm pretty sure we could get 250 people to fill out a survey. And thank you to everyone last night who all upped your donations while we were reading out patrons.
That's partially why I was so drunk last night. It's like every time we got another donation, I was like, woo, I'll have another beer. And then like, oh my God. I started telling everyone at the bar how awesome we were doing and how awesome you guys are.
Thank you. In particular, I think, Devin, your names don't correlate between...
Yeah, Devin,
sure
your donation was ridiculous. Thank you so much.
Very generous.
Very, very generous.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Rate us in the Apple Podcast app or support us on Patreon. Is that good enough?